Hi guys, good evening, welcome to whatever time zone you're in or part of the day you're listening to this show. It's Steve and Haydn here for another Pop Culture Gamers, and hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine,
different,
Steve.
you know? Just trying something different. Anyway.
Try mixing it up a bit, are you?
Yeah, 'cause I get bored of listening to the same thing each week. Anyway, Haydn, how you doing? You alright?
Yeah, not too bad. Just carrying on in this, COVID world, as everybody else is. What about yourself?
Yeah, nothing's changed. I'm working hard, watching the world go by from the outside compared to you being on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just pretty much the same as usual for me. Just good to be in at work really, and not stuck at home like a lot of people are at the moment.
Yeah.
You know. But how's your week been anyway? What have you been up to?
Well, I think last week I was probably struggling a little bit with social distancing, but this week it seems to be all okay, and I'm actually quite happy about it, I would say. I think it's probably something to do with getting myself into a routine with it all, because, obviously I've had a change of job, going back to my old job in the middle of all of that, and had to be catching up with all of the changes, getting used to working back with people who I haven't worked with for a great deal of time, or at least, should I say, haven't worked with as closely in quite the same way, while still maintaining some links to some people I have been working with over the last 18 months. So it's been a bit sort of weird. Also, I've delivered my second class of digital photography this week, and that was using Microsoft Teams, which is a very different experience in delivering classroom sort of content than actually, standing, up there. I mean, fortunately, the way that I deliver a digital photography class is that we don't actually take pictures in the classroom. I've never designed it that way. The reason being is how many bowls of fruit or, vases of flowers do you want to take a picture of? Do you know what I mean?
Does it get a bit samey, does it?
Yeah, it does. So what I tend to do is I sort it out so that we talk about like the terminology, we look at the design, the layout, the aesthetic design of your photographs when you're looking at your composition of what you want to do, and, talk about rule of thirds, Fibonacci spiral, high grid, all of that sort of stuff. And then go on to the technical aspects of digital photography, about the exposure triangle, how you, get that balance right in the reciprocity of the values between, the aperture, the ISO and all of that. So it works well actually as a Microsoft Teams class, and I could quite easily teach this in the future this way as well, which would be great because it would save me about an hour and a half travel every week. And save me money on petrol as well, which would be very grateful of. So quite enjoying delivering that. I also started considering my health a little bit more, because I think probably I've, as much as anybody else, been a bit lazy in terms of what I eat and stuff like that, and starting to put on weight because of COVID and being at home, which I couldn't afford to anyway, because as mentioned before, I was diagnosed as pre-diabetic. So this week I've gone over wholemeal. So finally ditched white bread, and non-wholemeal pasta and stuff like that as well. And I have to admit, I haven't actually missed it. The only difference is it just tastes like I'm eating a cardboard sandwich instead of a bread sandwich.
I like wholemeal bread anyway. Give me that with peanut butter any day of the week and I'm well away. So.
Oh, no, I don't like nuts at all. Don't like nuts. Blech. But yeah, so that's been a big change, I would say, in my life. And, I'm intending on keeping that going. I think it's much to the disgust of my wife, who I think she quite likes white bread. And now when I'm going shopping, I'm only bringing back brown bread, and she's sort of like, "Yeah, okay, there's more of you than us. There's more of us than you." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, but it's good for all of us." And also, I picked up a new controller for the PS4, which I'll talk about more later on.
Yes, I saw that picture.
Yes. So I'll, like I said, discuss that, and I'm sure that some people will be sort of like rolling their eyes and, getting themselves all and all this, that, and the other about it. But I'll tell you about it later. What about you, Steve?
Well, it's funny because the COVID post has been a bit weird for me because I've had a few pre-orders from February coming in now.
Mm-hmm.
So as you can imagine, I do pre-order vinyl every now and then, and so it's like, for example, I think the Thing soundtrack from John Carpenter with Ennio Morricone's score. There's a couple of as a bundle coming out with some new tracks, and I think that's coming out in May, for example. But it might get to me a bit later, even though they're going to probably ship it in May.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had My Bloody Valentine, which I ordered in February, and it just arrived this week. So, but it is what it is. I'm not too fussed. So that was pretty cool to get. I can't remember the guy on Facebook, but yeah, I've picked up 3 John Barry scores from the Bond collection, as we say. So I got Diamonds Are Forever, On a Major Secret Service, and what was the last one? Oh, I can't think what it's called now.
Tomorrow. You only live twice.
No, For Eyes Only.
Yeah, it was Mike Barden. I think you.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. So that was pretty cool to get. What else have I done this week? I finished a game this week, which is probably pretty rare for me, and on the PlayStation.
I know, it's a double bubble. You've finished a game and it's on the PlayStation.
Yeah, because I think this is probably the first game I've finished. I think I might be wrong. Movies. What have I watched this week? So last night we watched Extro, which is a horror sci-fi flick that come from very early 80s during the time of the video nasties, and also something up to date with Colour Out of Space with Nicolas Cage. So
I've seen good. Colour Out of Space as well.
Have you watched it? Have you?
Yeah,
good.
I have.
And did a pre-order this week, and I know. I can't remember if you did. Hey, did you pick up some picture discs for the Avengers soundtracks at some point?
Yeah, I did.
You did, yeah. Well, Mondo are releasing a 6-disc box set with the scores to Infinity War and Endgame.
Right.
And I pre-ordered that. So that will come in the years to come. I don't know when it'll be.
And I bet that'll be very expensive.
Actually, if you think of it as 6 discs, not really, to be honest.
I knew you were going to come out with that, because that's the husband's justification to the Wi-Fi.
Well, it comes in a nice box set as well. I don't know if you've seen any pictures on Twitter of that. So it comes in a big slip sleeve as well, and all coloured vinyl look gorgeous. So yeah, look forward to that one when it turns up.
Yeah, it should be good.
So, do you want to say why Alan isn't here? Because I didn't see the text at the last minute.
Yeah, so Alan's passed on his apologies, but things are changing in Ireland. They're sort of like emerging, the remainder of the post-apocalyptic, survivors of COVID-19 and stepping out back into the sun in Ireland very shortly. So he's actually looking to shortly go back to work in a different format than what he was doing, but nevertheless, still working for where he was. But this weekend, he's also been allowed the travel restrictions have been lifted for seeing members of the family. So he's actually gone to see his family, which, let's face it, we can't say no to that, can we? So we hope that he's, enjoyed seeing his parents.
Yeah, because I don't think we've got anything lifted like that here, have we, yet?
No. It's all the same, despite the press. And
giving us all that BS that you normally do.
For the week.
Should we go to gaming this week then?
Yeah, let's go to gaming this week.
Okay. What have you got for us, Haydn? Because coming Thursday, isn't there?
Yeah, I've got a few different things. So, Xbox Series X games. So, after Phil Spencer hinted that we might see Xbox Series X games in the near future, we now finally have a date on the 7th of May at 8 a.m. Pacific Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, or 4 p.m. British Summer Time. We'll be able to see a special episode of Inside Xbox where Microsoft and its global partners will showcase the next-gen games gameplay on the Xbox Series X. The show's likely to contain a few surprises, as is pretty much the traditional sort of Microsoft fashion, but there will also be a whole host of, world premieres. They always like to do those ones, don't they? Mm-hmm. But what we won't be seeing is titles from first-party studios such as Halo Infinite or Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, which I am personally gutted about because I would love to see what that looks like. But instead it'll reveal on focuses on games from third-party studios and second-party studios. But we already know that there's been a recently announced Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which
good trailer, wasn't it?
Yeah, which that had a load of axe-wielding glory in there, didn't it? So absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So can't wait for that. I'm really looking forward to another Assassin's Creed game.
So this is going to be, we're going to see two events from Microsoft then, because they'll want to show off the first party. So whether that would be in June maybe, which would have been E3, possibly? Possibly.
Maybe we'll actually finally get to learn at some point what the price of the series is going to be, because I read one article that said, might we actually be hearing about a price cut? I thought we don't even know what the starting price is, so how can we hear what a price cut is?
Yeah, and all this is great for Xbox, but PlayStation, again, pretty quiet.
Yeah, but I'm sure it'll start to pick up. But don't forget, they've already said that there's going to be limited supply, whereas Phil Spencer's saying, no, we've got it covered, we've got loads. So let's just hope he, puts his Xbox Series X where his mouth is, to be quite honest with you.
And hopefully we'll get to see the console as well.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Cool. And another one there that, do we actually want to hear about this? Because I don't want to know anything about it, but
it's not about the story of the game itself, but it's about the Last of Us Part 2 leak, because earlier last week, The Last of Us Part 2 had a lot of its narrative leaked online ahead of its launch date on June 19th. But since then, it's been rumoured that the source was a former Naughty Dog employee, but following an investigation by Sony, it seems this isn't to be the case. And in a statement to GameIndustry.biz, Sony confirmed that it identified the primary culprits for the leak and that they are not affiliated with Sony or Naughty Dog. The full statement supplied by The Hollywood Reporter reads that SIE has identified the primary individuals responsible for the unauthorized release of The Last of Us 2 assets, and they are not affiliated with Naughty Dog or Sony. So, take it with a pinch of salt, I think, maybe. If you have heard anything.
Yeah, there was a video as well, wasn't there, floating around at some point?
I think there's been all sorts of things, but I have to admit, for games like that, I tend to
stay clear.
Yeah, as soon as I see it coming up, I click away from it so that I don't get to see any more. I think there's a difference between knowing about things like release dates or just general premise than there is about, seeing some of the stuff that, half of the story and that sort of stuff. I don't want to know about that. I want to experience it.
Of course, yeah. That's right. I totally agree with you there.
Yeah.
So, new releases. Do you want to start with that for us?
Okay, so there's this week from the 5th of the 5th, we've got John Wick Hex on the PS4. We've got Maneater on the PC, PS4, Xbox One and Switch. And then going on to the 7th, we've got Fledgling Heroes on the Switch, Lonely Mountains Downhill on the Switch, and Wavy the Rocket on the PC.
Any of that interests you at all? I don't think it's probably going to go way past my head.
I don't know. John Wick Hex, don't know. I'll have to see what that one's about.
Wasn't that a mobile game at some point, or am I dreaming that?
I don't know.
Okay, so all right, if I do the Xbox then, so what we got here? May the 1st to the 31st, we got V Rally 4. May the 16th to the 15th of June, we got Warhammer 40,000 Inquisitor, and backwards compatibility. So Xbox 360, May the 1st to the 15th. Simple World of Soccer, which I think I've already got, and Overlord 2, which is May the 16th to the 31st.
Mm.
Game Pass, what we got? So Red Redemption 2 is coming out on the 7th of May. And at the same time, in with the old. So Grand Theft Auto will be leaving on the 7th of May as well. So one good title to another on that.
Yeah, indeed.
PlayStation Plus is for May. We got City Skyliners and Farming Simulator 19. Not the greatest bunch there, but
well, City Skylines is good.
Yeah, I think I did play a bit of that on the Game Pass actually.
Anyway, I'd have thought you'd have played Farming Simulator and then gone home on trains.
You won't let me live this one down, will you?
No, I won't.
Anyway,
I thought you could have simulated a work day. Go to work on the train, do your Farming Simulator, go back on the train with your thermos.
I can't get my CCTV done that way, can I? Anyway, to Twitch Prime. So we got this for May. We got Snake Pass, Urban Trial Playground, Mincy Invector, Panicapoo, that's how you pronounce it, The Little Acre, and Fractured Minds. Epic Games this time. We've got Amnesia. I don't know what that middle one is because I can't even read the title. And Death Coming. Crashland. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So plenty there to digest.
Yes, don't forget the Epic Games are free as well, as is Twitch Prime games if you've got Twitch Prime. So always good to get free games from wherever.
Oh, good, yeah. Okay, should we move on to gaming this week? And I think I'll let you, you got more than me, I'll let you start off.
Okay, well, I've been completing games left, right and centre. I've done 4 games in the last week.
God.
Yeah. So one of the ones I've completed is Astrologaster, which is a Game Pass game. So this is a sort of like comedy Shakespearean London kind of setting, and you play as a doctor called Simon Foreman, and you basically treat patients with astrology. The game is a story-based narrative game with, to be honest, a really stupid story. I gave up on the story pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And basically what you have to do is you have to examine the stars and diagnose a person's ills. You do actually have to listen to when they're saying what is the matter with them so that you can actually, treat some of that as well. And your goal is basically to treat patients and cure them as well as improve their satisfaction of your skills as a doctor. So most of the game is dialogue, and then you get to select choices of, certain star signs. So, Aries, Cancer, Leo, whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or there's then choices of A, B, and C, and then there's some like star grids and all, star constellations and all of that as well to select. It's a weird sort of game. I think that they've tried something new. For me, I completed it, but I was a bit not really that bothered. There were some bits that were amusing, but it's not a fantastic game unless you really like that sort of faux Shakespearean humour. So for me, I would probably give it a pass. Looking back in retrospect, but I obviously gave it a Game Pass because I actually played it and completed it. So,
what made you want to complete it then? If you were feeling a bit sort of, mixed.
I was bored. I was bored. I'd started it. I thought this doesn't feel like it's going to be a long game, and it wasn't a long game either. I think I probably completed it in about 45 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
So it was one of those ones where I thought, and it's on PC, this one as well, by the way. So I just, carried on playing it, on PC Game Pass and completed it. I kind of when you get to the end of a game, I think, I'm not ever going to play that again. It was one of those ones.
So that was done, deleted, and forgotten about.
Yeah, definitely. So the second game is a different Game Pass game, and this one is called Moving Out. So this is on PC and Xbox One, and for those of you who are achievement fans, it's a very unusual double bubble because the Xbox gamer score is counted separately on PC and Xbox, so you can actually double your score here. So this is basically a rather amusing physics-based game, and it's from Team 17, who were the people who produced Overcooked.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So if you've played Overcooked, it's kind of a bit like that, but this time you're employed as a removal agent, and your quest is to remove specific objects from houses for transportation. Each level has a bronze, silver and gold timers. Obviously, the aim is to get the timers as well. When you complete a level, then you can also do extra sort of, special missions on that level. So it might be don't break any windows when you're doing the removal, or break all of the windows when you're doing the removal, or only use one door, or don't, take all of the boxes out first before you move the furniture. It could be anything. I think one of them is give the birds a bath, which basically means there's these two pelicans in the garden which take up to the bathroom, and you dump in the bath in order to get that action done. And there's a really weird achievement which requires you to stand on every loo in the game.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of
so these sort of very much indie games you're playing in the minute then.
Well, it's Game Pass games. I'm just playing them because they were on there, and I thought I'll give a few a go. So, like I said, there's numerous tasks, and you get additional bonus rewards for doing all of that. And when you complete them, or when you complete a level 2 a gold, you get a gold star. So, obviously there's 30 levels to complete, and then there's 90 gold stars to get for the additional actions on each of those levels. And I think, I've done the whole 30 levels, so effectively completed the campaign. But I think I got about 30 out of the 90, gold stars. I started off being quite disciplined, so I'd do the level, see what was a requirement, and then go in and do the level again. But sometimes you might get a break all of the windows and don't break any, so you have to play the level 3 times in order to do it if you didn't know that was a requirement early on, the first time that you played it. So, but other ones you can do the whole level and the requirements in the first go if you're lucky. And, you get one of those levels where those requirements are all, pretty easy to do, like, break a window and, just do whatever. Use a specific door, and you've just used that door naturally because it's seemed to be the best way to get in and out of the building. And then, I don't know, break a vase or whatever might be a requirement, or not break a vase. Then, you'll get all 3 pop the first time that you play the level, so you don't have to play that level again. Do you see what I mean? So, but you wouldn't know that the first time you play the level that was a requirement, because it doesn't tell you until after you've completed the level the first time. Some levels have things like ghosts and other obstacles which you can hit to, stop you from, being killed by them. You can also play solo or couch co-op as well. So playing couch co-op brings a whole new sort of, gameplay to the game as well.
Yeah.
Which is worth playing. Graphically, it's a very pleasing game and comical. You can change what your character looks like. And overall, it's just a really quirky kind of game to play. So if you've got Game Pass, I would recommend playing it. If you're thinking, I might buy this, I would wait until it's in a sale. A bit like Overcooked. If you like Overcooked, you'll like this. And Overcooked was quite a popular game, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't seem to play... Those sort of games don't appeal to me for some reason. They're just... I don't know. I don't find them attractive enough to warrant playing them.
I find them to be quite like palate cleansers.
Right.
So, when I've
been in a heavy games, stories and...
Yeah. Well, I mean, this week I finished Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Remake, so that was a big game to sort of, finish. And I've actually gone on to Final Fantasy 15 again and started playing that from scratch. Because I wasn't that far into it anyway when I sort of gave up on it. So, but I used this as a palate cleanser to just sort of like detune my mind from Final Fantasy 7, as it were. Just get my mind focused on something else. And that was one of the other reasons why I did the first game that I mentioned, the Astrologaster.
Yeah.
As well. So, the third game I've played is, again, another Game Pass game. This is on PC and Xbox. I think it's on PlayStation as well, though. And that is Deliver Us the Moon.
How'd you find this one?
Right. Well, I found it by the Xbox app, but I'm joking.
No, as in, how did you find the game?
No, I know. I was joking.
Yeah,
mate.
Yeah.
Calm down, son. Calm down. So, yeah, it's really good, actually. So this is a sci-fi thriller set in an apocalyptic future. And Earth's natural resources are depleted and a lunar colony is supplying energy, but the lunar colony's gone all quiet. So you're a lone astronaut sent to the moon on a critical mission to save humanity, basically. Why you wouldn't send several people, I don't know, but they sent one. Graphically, it's a very pleasing sort of game with some detailed environments. Gameplay is sort of like very standard in this sort of thing, and it feels a bit like Adrift to me.
It looks very... I know this isn't, but it looks very Space 1999 look, if you know what I mean. Yeah,
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean there. And yeah, it does have that sort of like feeling a little bit, but there's lots of things to do on this. I mean, when you on the opening level, there's loads of things to read, posters, stuff like that. There's not much on them, but there's a bit of detail in that sort of environment. And you start off and you have to launch yourself into space. So, you go into the control room and you've got to set everything ready to go. Then you go out onto the gantry, you fill up the tanks with the fuel, you come back down, you set everything going, then you've got to get to your rocket before it takes off. Once you take off, when you're waiting to take off, you've got to go through the ignition sequence, and it's pretty easy to know what to do because anything that you've got to flip turns red. So you flip that, and some of them it's that daft game of having to stop something in a block area and that sort of thing. That only happens on a couple of switches, but that just felt a bit out of place. But yeah, it's a good game. I think that there's going to be a good depth of game in it because there's a lot of information, a lot of sort of like hidden collectibles and stuff like that to do it as well. So if you like the hidden collectible type of game, you'll find that. When I was playing it, it was a bit weird because it kept repeating a dialogue thing of, are you going to, come in, are you going to start the mission? And I hadn't realised it, but it had opened up twice on my PC, or 3 times rather. So I was thinking, God, this feels really choppy. And then I realised that the game was running 3 times, which no doubt explains why the animation wasn't quite as smooth. And, it took me ages to realise. Because I just thought this hadn't been optimised very well. But once I switched all of those off,
it comes alive.
Yeah, and it was a lot better. I could stream it so you could actually see, but it still played okay. So, yeah, it's a good game. It's definitely worth a go. It's certainly got a little bit of charm to itself as well. And I think you'll get a good sort of, narrative from it as well. So I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah, cool.
And then my last thing is the purchase of a piece of kit.
Yeah, not cheap though, was it? Or are you going to save that?
No. So what I got was I purchased the Astro C40TR controller for the PlayStation. So this is a tournament grade controller with a great deal of customization, far more than an Xbox series, Xbox One Elite 2 controller, to be honest. Really? So this is truly a unique controller because the thing is that you can actually change the location of the sticks.
Okay, enlighten me on that because...
Right. PlayStation layout, top left, your D-pad, in the middle, your sticks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You can change it to Xbox configuration. So you take the faceplate off and you swap the D-pad and the sticks around, put the faceplate back on, and it's Xbox style but still PS4.
Does this controller work on both consoles or just specifically for the PlayStation?
PlayStation and PC.
Oh, okay.
So it's wireless as well, which is another thing. I mean, in terms of PlayStation controllers, there are basically two types of controller that you get PlayStation-wise, no matter what anyone says, and that is either the first one is the ones that are built around the actual DualShock controller. So irrespective of whether or not it's a customized controller, it is based on the PCB of, the original controller. And then you get these custom PCB ones, which is what this one is. Now, this is not cheap. In a matter of fact, it makes the Xbox Series 2 Elite controller look more, economically viable. Because it's like 190 quid.
And I'm seeing it as nearly as much as 300 as well.
I've not seen it as that much. That would be ridiculous for it, to be honest. But
that's on eBay, so that could be hyped.
Yeah, that you can get it a lot cheaper than that. Definitely.
I think the cheapest I've seen is 160. Just having a browse at it at the minute.
That would be the cheapest, yeah.
Yeah. So, why did you make the purchase in the first place? What was your thought on going forward for this? Or was it just a whim and I'm feeling bored and want a bit of shopping therapy? Or
I would say that one.
Okay.
It was. I wanted a really good quality controller and I like the idea of the interconnectivity and or the configurability of it. Because if you want, you can have both analog sticks on the left-hand side. Why you would want that, I don't know, but you could have that.
You'd have to really cack-handed, though, wouldn't you, to actually play like that?
Oh, yeah, you would. You'd have to be some sort of mutant to play it like that, but there you go. But in terms of it as a controller, it's really good. It oozes quality. When you hold it, there's software that you can download onto your PC that will allow you to remap buttons. To take hold. There's also a remapping button at the end, which also resyncs your controller. It has a wireless and wired mode. It also has hairpin triggers on it as well, which is very much like the hairpin triggers on the Xbox.
Shortening the distance with the trigger pull, yeah?
Yeah. Basically, it halves the distance just at the flick of a switch, exactly the same as the Series 1 version of the Elite controller. To me, this would have been perfect to have had USB-C, but instead it's got A2 micro B on it instead. But what I like that they've done is that they've embedded the USB port into the controller somewhere so that when you use the lead that is supplied, it fits snugly in there.
Right.
So that, it doesn't have that, pulling around on the, on the USB port. Instead, the hole that you plug it into holds that lead instead, which is a really good move. It also has 2 remappable buttons, like trigger buttons on the bottom underneath the controller. The great thing is that when you put it down, it won't do anything. Unlike the Xbox Elite controller, which, if you remember, deleted my Hunter profile on Destiny when I did that.
Yeah, that just was a bit bizarre, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Bit bizarre is an understatement of the millennium there. But seriously, it's a good controller. It feels nice. It's a rubberized sort of surface on it as well, but it doesn't get sweaty like the Series 2 controller does.
You see, I think obviously I only bought the first one from Xbox, but I had those issues with my hands and being hot, and I'm assuming that the second version is just the same, to be honest.
Yeah, it is pretty much, but I don't know whether or not there's a problem with the rubber or the glue on them at the moment. I've not seen anything complaining about that as of yet. But then again, we are back to running the summer, aren't we?
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind a controller that I could use on both, actually, if there was such a thing.
Well, what you can do is you can get the dongles that allow you to use on, your Xbox controller on a PlayStation.
Yeah.
The thing for me, and despite the fact I love this Astro controller, if I was to honestly recommend anybody to buy it, I would say, given where we are in the
climate,
in the current cycle of the console, unless you're planning on keeping your a PS4 or Pro for a few years, I would say just don't get it, because there's no news whether or not it's going to be forwardly compatible into the PS5 with the new DualSense controller, which has that sort of Avengers time traveling suit kind of styling to it, doesn't it? But it doesn't. There is no sort of real indication to that. And if you're wanting the programmable trigger buttons on the bottom, then there are alternatives which use the PCB out of the main controller or the normal controller rather than a custom one. And I think that they always end up being better because they have everything on it. This one has the 3.5mm jack. It's also got the speaker inbuilt into it as well, which is that's great. But I'm not sure whether or not it's actually got 6-axis built in, and I know that next to nothing uses that, but it's always nice. I would rather have the ability to say, no, I don't want to use it, rather than saying, no, I can't use it. If you see what I mean. It's like, I know that you can buy a £35 Xbox-style controller, the Hori one, which I think Alan is big fan of, and I've got one of them as well. But the problem is it doesn't have a 3.5-inch jack. It doesn't do 6-axis. I can't even remember whether or not it has an internal speaker either. And there's always something missing from these custom ones. But if you go to like AIM controllers or somewhere like that, you can actually get one that is based on a DualShock. But the only thing is, you wouldn't be able to change the configuration. It's a DualShock layout.
Yeah.
The battery life on this is better as well, by the way. That is another good advantage of the Astro. It's a 12-hour battery life, so still not up to Xbox standard, but certainly better than the PlayStation,
Yeah.
7.5 hours.
So is this controller going to be basically more for the PlayStation because you're used to a keyboard and mouse on the PC, so you wouldn't want to come out of that scenario, would you?
I think it depends upon what the game is, because there are some games I will not play keyboard and mouse.
Right.
So, for example, when I was playing Moving Out, because I wanted more control for that type of game, I used a controller. Whereas I would not play Destiny on the PC using a controller.
No.
I don't know why anybody does, to be honest, because that is building yourself. Sorry, Dave, I know that Dave does it, I think, but that sort of builds yourself in like a limitation in terms of what you're doing. Because once you get used to keyboard and mouse, it's next to impossible to go back to Destiny. I feel like you're playing it anywhere near the same level.
Yeah.
I know I'm probably about 30% better on a keyboard than I am with a controller. Just because, you have that whipping around control. You can control the speed more, you can control your accuracy more. It transforms the game. So, in terms of that, and I've still got a dongle that I've still yet to test, which allows me to use keyboard and mouse on the PlayStation and also on the Xbox.
Oh, okay.
And on the Switch, actually, but not that I play. I would always just use the Pro Stick on the Switch.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Okay, so you're happy with the purchase?
Yeah, I'm happy with it, but I would say if I was to recommend it, would I recommend it to anybody? I would say probably not. I would say go to AIM controllers, get yourself one based on the Dual Shock, but with like a super nice case cover and customize it as much as you want, and it'll still end up being cheaper than this, and you'll get the flappy paddles at the back, which will work fine. But if you're wanting something that you can, you have a lot more configurability over, such as, maybe you want to try swapping the sticks around every now and again, then this will be the controller for you, but it's really expensive. Some people reckon that the sticks are less resistive than the Dual Shock. Personally, I haven't found that to be that much of a problem. In a matter of fact, if anything, I would say that they're probably a little bit more sensitive than the Dual Shock standard are. But what I would say is the good news about the sticks is because the stick unit lifts out in entirety, if the stick, you get unresolvable stick drift, which you do get on controllers eventually, then all you need to do is unscrew the bottom of the stick unit, pull out the motor, put in another one, screw it back in, and plug it in. And you can actually buy sticks with more resistance to them, to the sticks. If you found that this was too loose, so you can configure it however you like that as well. So there's a lot of options on it, if you see what I mean. So it's not a bad controller. It's a very, very hefty price tag. And it's at the maximum range of what I would ever look to spend on a controller.
You could probably buy a console for that, couldn't you?
You could buy a PS4 for that, couldn't you, now?
Yeah.
Or certainly a second-hand one. But I would say that this needed to have been earlier in the console cycle to be, to get maximum benefit out of it.
Well, we'll see. It might have compatibility with the PlayStation 5. Who knows?
But it won't have everything that it has on a dual sense.
Right, of course, yeah. From that point
It's
of
the
view.
haptic feedback and all of that.
And obviously, when you do get your hands on a PlayStation 5, you're going to have that snazzy white-looking boomerang controller, I suppose.
Yeah, I do actually like the look of the new controller, to be honest.
It looks like a joke originally. I thought, this is a wind-up, surely.
Yeah,
But,
I've seen people put on like kids stickers and all of that sort of stuff as well, which it's not. Yeah, okay, you don't like PlayStation, we get you, but I like the I like the look of the controller. I'm quite excited by the idea of seeing how that performs as a controller. I think because I've been playing more PlayStation 4, the split design, I still prefer the Xbox layout, but I'm not so bothered about it as I used to be.
No, because ever since I purchased a PlayStation 4, you said 5 then, I can adapt very easily playing Destiny on the Xbox to the PlayStation, to the controller. It doesn't actually have an issue in it anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and some of the games, the sort of style games I play, doesn't matter where the sticks are, to be honest. I think it's not an issue. All right, the only thing I had an issue with, probably, if I'm going to criticise the PlayStation 4 controller, is the left triggers and right triggers at the back, which are on a slight curve. I have an issue with those. They don't feel right sometimes.
You can get add-ons that you clip onto them.
Because you feel my finger. I feel like my finger wants to slide off them. I know there's a slight curve on them at the back, but sometimes it's not, doesn't feel so tactile with my fingers. But other than that, it's fine,
Actually, you've reminded me as well, the sticks on this controller as well, you can change them Xbox style. So you can get, higher sticks and lower sticks and dome sticks and all of that. Some of those come within the box as well.
So loads of spare parts to lose, or for children to put in their mouth if they get hold of it.
Well, you do come with a case for it, which houses everything that you want.
Yeah.
But if you do want something that's a bit more than a standard PlayStation DualShock, I would seriously recommend the AIM controllers, because I have one. I got a custom one a while ago. I got it at one of the the Insomnia events, and that is based on the proper PlayStation PCB, so that you're getting everything that the normal controller has. The only things that are customized on it is the fact that the sticks, I can change the height of them, and I can buy more sticks, and I think they cost €2 for a stick to get from AIM. But also, I've got clicky triggers for the L1 and R1, and all of that sort of stuff. The bumper and the triggers. So I got it specifically so when I'm playing first-person shooters like Destiny or whatever, that rather than having the need to, have the analog, whereas in a driving sim, this would just register as going full speed or stopping. Instead, this just registers as a shoot or not. And it's a really nice controller. It's got a nice, front of the case with a design on it. It's good.
Oh, cool.
That's it for me. So what about for you, Steve?
So yeah, just one game this week. I've played Destiny, but we don't need to talk about that. I've just run of the mill grind at the moment. I think nothing's really changing there.
Can I ask you a question? How are you feeling about this season?
Well, it's a bit poor. I'm not there to really. I don't feel like I want to complete it because I think it's too much of a grind and it's too samey.
Yeah. What about these Guardian games?
That I don't mind, because I can play that. I play that as I'm just playing the game. So I'd pick up a load of the medals and bounties and just add towards the total that's going on. And at the moment, the Hunter is in third place, the Warlock's in second place, and way in front at the moment is the Titans on that at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's because every Hunter's just ignoring it now, because we're just sick of it, because Hunters went to first place day one and then saw how it played and thought, nah, can't be bothered.
Yeah, because if anyone doesn't realise, there's where you actually dish out your medals. There's the flags, and the flags are in order of who's winning.
Yeah.
So you can see on the left there, the Titan flags as huge as it comes, and the Hunter's way down the bottom there. People, it looks like they've given up on that.
Well, that's because they all have, I think.
Yeah.
Titans are the ones who are flying.
But
you can also tell by the colour of the armour as well, the cloak or tea towel or whatever it is that each class is wearing.
Mm.
Or the armband for you.
But, I mean, yeah, the armband. I mean, I've been really doing it just to do the pinnacles, because there's more pinnacles to pick up a bit easier than it was a little while ago.
Mm.
So I've done about 3 or 4 this week, and I'm, just to 1,014 at the minute. So
I keep forgetting it's pinnacles, but then again, I keep also thinking, oh, grind, I can't be bothered.
Yeah, but it's like we do 3 nightfalls, and you get a pinnacle for it, and I'm up to, I think they drop at 1,003 for me at the minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's what it is. But we have our ups and downs with Destiny. You caned it too much, I think, probably, which didn't help. So.
Well, I think the last couple of seasons, they were grindy, but I just felt that they played better than this one. I think probably because a lot of the focus of this one as well is on multiplayer, with the Osiris thing coming back, and
Well, that's a separate thing on its own anyway.
But, I know it is, but I think mentally it's associated itself with me,
Because obviously the bunker's carrying on and all of that, and obviously the guiding games where all the bounties and medals are they're staggered through every type of gameplay you want. So you can do the Crucible, you can go into the into Nightfalls with the strikes as well, and you can go and do the Forge. So it's pretty varied on that point of view.
On those medals though, I know for the Hunter, a lot of them have said that kills in Strikes, Nightfalls, and Gambit on the Crucible don't count.
Don't know about that. I mean,
oh yeah, definitely. Trust me, because that was one of the reasons why I thought, no, can't.
And there has been a bit of change in the latest update. They actually nerfed one particular gun where everyone was using at the moment, which is Hardlight. So they've given it a slight tweak on the multiplayer side. But yeah, they've realised there's a few other changes to come to help the game, because they always listen to the community, which I think I do applaud Bungie for, to be honest.
Yeah.
They know when they screw up a bit, and they will do their best to implement changes to make, for the greater good of the game, if anything.
Rumours are that they're looking at going back to a Forsaken sort of style for next year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there'll be a new season from September, so we'll see how that new season pass progresses. Obviously, we're still waiting on this one at the minute to see about these guys with the pyramids.
Well, will there not be another season next month?
I think there's still another one to come, maybe another one to come yet. Or maybe even 2, I can't remember.
June, July and August, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, so I completed Catherine Full Body over the weekend. And if you're not too aware, Catherine Full Body was the remastered with also an extra character to the original 360 game. That's when I originally played it, which was a bit of a pig's ear to play, to be honest. And again, we got Vincent with his struggling girlfriend, Catherine with a K, I'm going to say here. And we had the mysterious Catherine with a C with the locks and the blonde hair.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously with the new character, Rin, who comes in at the beginning of the game as well, I've really enjoyed it. There's 13 endings to complete. I've completed 4 of them, so I've done the new content endings, which aren't to do with the original game, which is to do with Rin. So I've got the bad ending and the true ending of that. Playing the game as it is, and when I first finished it, I got the Catherine good ending. So even, he asked her to marry her and all that. And then Catherine with a C, I got the bad ending for that one, which I'm going to go for the good ending, but I might start it from scratch for that. Because I need to make sure I'm in the bad on the when you're playing the game. And obviously, you answer the question in the confessioning area. You got the swivel on the from blue to red, as you say. So that will make a bit of a difference on different endings you play the game. So, but I've really enjoyed it. What is great, and I'll say it again, it's on for sale at the minute. I think PlayStation's still got the JRPG sale on. So it's about 25 quid. So compared to Persona 5, which is 50 plus, and they've added bits to that. Well worth doing, because Atlas are great at that. The box puzzles, if you're annoyed and don't like playing them, you can just click right trigger and you can go into auto mode, and the character Vincent will just run out and finish it for you. So if you feel that's your biggest issue with the game, you can do that. And the only thing that's important really in the game to progress the story will be your confession answers and anything else that comes along at the time because you normally stay in the bar quite a lot in between nighttime and daytime. So all that just makes it, I think, an all-rounded game for me. Really enjoyed it.
Am I right in thinking, because I played this absolutely yonks ago, I think it was back in the 360 sort of era. I know I've played it more recently on the PS4.
Okay.
But if most of this game, the actual gameplay for it was the being chased by demons and going up those stupid boxes.
Yeah.
Which I absolutely loathed and detested that part of the game. But then the rest of it is just more like a Telltale game, isn't it? As in choices. There isn't any other sort of gameplay, is there?
No, because the game, the rest of the game is set. There is a lot of cutscenes which are very animated manga style.
Yeah.
Obviously. And then the decisions you make are set in the bar where you have your mobile phone.
Mm-hmm.
So that where you're sending messages to and from the different women in your life, should we say, will make a difference. Obviously, there's a arcade machine where you can play another version of those building blocks, should we say, which is an arcade game called Rapunzel.
Yeah.
And you obviously go around talking to the people in the bar to get more information, which will help you unravel this mystery between the three girls, which are all called Catherine. You know, and I was gobsmacked about Rin. I won't spoil what happens, what her storyline goes like, but yeah, I didn't. Yeah, that was quite gobsmacking, to be honest with you, when I found out about that when it progressed. But I just like Atlas games. Persona 5 is a superb game. This is good in different ways. I think if you like that sort of games like I do, or I think even Nikki does as well, I just enjoy them. And there's some great little storylines, which you've got to open up, because some of these endings that you're going to get will depend on maybe even halfway through the gameplay. If you haven't said the right thing in the confession box, you won't get it. So sometimes you'll get little hints where if you answer a question correctly for a certain route to finish the game in a different character, you will see like a break on the scales. And I cannot praise this game enough. I'm glad I was able to finish it on this version. I went back and downloaded the 360 version, and it's not easy on that version at all. It is tough.
Yeah. Well, you can't do the auto, can you? No,
you can't. And this is a new feature they brought into this game, which is helpful. I mean, there is four. Let me think of it. There's 4 ways of playing the game. You've got normal, hard, easy, and safety. And I just played it on easy. Now, to be honest, that's only to do with the puzzles and the boxes. But I don't think it matters. If you put it on hard and then press auto, it's still going to finish it anyway. So it won't make a lot of difference. But I have had a bit of fun with the puzzles. Sometimes I've decided to just complete them. Because you get the hang of it again and how they work and where to pull the boxes. And when you get to the secret ending, which is with Rin's character, you get a level 10, and there's some more puzzles there with some boxes that do all sorts of weird stuff. It's quite interesting.
So how long's the completion time on the game?
I think the first time was 10 hours.
Right. Okay. So substantial investment then.
Oh yeah. But what obviously, if you want to go through and search out what endings there are, you can skip a lot, as you did with some of the games you played. You can skip some of the less important parts of the game with the cutscenes. But I feel maybe not, because it depends. There might be something to do that you don't realise. So when you, for example, if you're going to get messages from Catherine with a K, you obviously get the chance to ignore the text message or the phone call, or actually reply to it. And when you reply to the game into her, you have like 3 or 4 different choices to make up the text message.
Yeah.
And that again would depend on how your meter of being good or evil with the way you play the game as well. So there's all these different sort of like a flow chart of where your character is going to play the game, and it just do so many different ways to get to the end. Some ways you're just going to miss complete big chunks of the game, and some others you're going to get extra puzzles and extra cartoon, like the FMG. So you got all the different types of that part. But it all just flows lively. It's worth playing if you wanted to play it and really got miffed with the original version. Just pick up this version and do it, because it's good fun.
I might go back to this and have a look then, because I really, really hated the boxes on the 360 when I played it, and I just ended up getting so frustrated with it. I just chucked it as a game. I thought, I'm not playing that ever again in my life. And when I saw you said you were playing it, I thought, oh god, that thing. But if you can skip those bits and just do, so you get the story, as it were.
Yeah, well, your character will still jump up all the boxes and pick up some coins. Depending on what it does, you'll get either a bronze or a silver or a gold trophy for it. And also you can spend, there's one of the sheep at the top of the hill there, which you can buy certain different objects to use in the game. Yeah. So to help you progress on the run from top to bottom.
Right.
But it's batshit crazy with some of the weird characters you get in the game that chase you. I mean, but where if you stuck it on easy, they're not really challenging. So you could probably do the box puzzle at your own leisure without having to worry about it too much.
Yeah.
And it's once you get used to pulling and twisting and moving them to different ways to get round and to get up, it's not too difficult, and it's actually quite therapeutic to a certain degree, because if you're playing it on normal, you're up against the character that's trying to kill you. And, from that point of view, also what you do get again is when you're playing this game, it will tell you how other people are faring in the game online. Right. So when you answer a certain question and you pull the cord left or right, it will then give you the flow chart, or the circle chart of with the circumference of how many people have chosen what you've chosen, and it will tell you how many people have died in certain ways as well in playing the game.
Yeah.
So it's and if it's on sale still, I would pick it up for what it is.
Unfortunately, it isn't. It's back to £50.
Oh really? Oh,
yeah.
That is such a shame, because it was under half price.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you can pick it up disc-wise, probably cheaper anyway.
I thought this game had been given away on PlayStation Plus. I don't know why I thought that.
What, the original one? Because this version...
Oh, the original hadn't it?
Yeah. This version only came out a couple of months ago.
Right. Okay.
So it's not that old.
So there's a possibility we might end up seeing this on PlayStation now.
Who knows? But if it's in the sale again, I would definitely check it out.
I think what I'll do is I'll wait and see if it comes on now and play it.
Yeah, because it's fascinating on the storylines. And some of the mysterious Catherine with the C, should we say, with the blonde curly hair, and what she's after in the game compared to his real girlfriend that he's been with for 5 years, and then the mysterious Catherine with a Q, but he calls her Rin, Rin, and
but she quaffed.
Say again, sorry.
She quaffed.
Well, she's called. Well, she says when he had. It's not really a spoiler, but he gives Rin. He says, "Here, I've got a spare phone for you too, and you can text me." And when she texts him, it says Catherine with a Q. She says, "I'm not sure how to spell it because my memory's still bad. Because remember, I don't know what's going on, where I am, because she's lost her memory."
Right.
But he says, "I'll just call you Rin. That'll do." And yeah, that's fine. She says, "Bless her."
Okay.
But yeah, it's a fascinating game. I really enjoyed it. Go on.
Sorry, go on.
I was just about to say, I'm very keen to carry on playing Persona 5, but I've been really, 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 really want to play the new version.
Yeah.
Because there are extra characters in that, and but it's funny. I would sit in the bar. I'd always go to the jukebox there because every progression in the game you get more songs added to the jukebox, and it's got all the Persona 5 songs in there as well to play. Or Persona 4 and all sorts of other bits and pieces. So obviously Atlas has got their own set of games that they can just put the music on it for it.
Right.
And there's something else called Babel, and there's like these 2 other levels where you can play with 2 people to fight the blocks.
Mm-hmm. And
it's just like an online playing game of just doing the building blocks. But if you're not really keen on it in the original place, you probably wouldn't go near it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, in terms of this as a game, then, do you, would you say you're a sort of like anime fan?
Oh, I am. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
definitely.
And is that what the biggest part of the appeal is about this game? And Persona and stuff like that.
It is, and also the storylines that they give that are in these games.
Mm-hmm.
The Japanese are wacky at the best of times.
Yeah, they are.
And I love the manga comics and how they come, and the cartoons are just as great. Some of these scenes are quite long.
Yeah.
And very risque, shall we say.
Yeah, I was going to say I remember it being quite sort of like sexually charged in terms of its suggestiveness. It goes beyond what would be sort of like, carry on sort of her matron sort of thing, doesn't it? But it doesn't go lewd from what I can remember.
No, but you never see let's put it this way, you never see anyone naked in it, but you see the suggestion of it.
Yeah.
And there may be a scene in the shower where she's got her hands covering her breast, for example, but that's fine. Do you know what I mean? But it's a cartoon.
Yeah, it's weird.
How else do you put it, really? But they all, because you see these manga cartoons, they've all got big eyes, haven't they? And their chins come to a V point and stuff like that.
It's funny, isn't it, when you look at a lot of the sort of like anime stylings of women, they are more Western than they are Eastern.
Yeah.
They don't have the Oriental sort of eyes, do they? They look more Western in that sort of respect. And
with the copy, I got I think it's just a deluxe edition that I bought in the sale.
Yeah.
And I think I said it last time. You can go in. So what you can do is, obviously you can use the arcade machine. You can play the jukebox, and you can go around chatting to everyone to get clues and information. And you use your phone to save the game and what have you, or everything else with interaction with the characters. But you go into the bathroom and you can go and sit on the toilet. And there was a set of glasses for me to wear. And when I left them on for the whole game because everyone's naked except for underwear.
Right.
So, for example, the barman there, he's got a G-string on with a how do I put it? a sheep in the middle. So it's pretty wacky. Honestly, it really is.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'll do some screenshots and I'll send them across to you, see what I mean. Because anyone that comes in the bar, they're in their underwear, just walking around having a drink.
Yeah.
So it's a bit wacky from that point of view. It's not pervy in a way, if you know what I mean, but it's just bonkers, if anything. So yeah. Anyway, should we move on to the next part of the show?
Yep.
Okay, so we'll go to movies, TV, and streaming. Okay. Any news for us on that front?
Yes, there is a little bit of an update in terms of the news for this week. Just lost my part of the page on the thing. Just 1 second while I scroll back down the many pages with notes that we've got. So there is been an update in terms of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the release dates that they have now, because of obviously COVID and shows been stopping from recording and pushed back and all of that sort of stuff. So the MCU release dates are, for the Falcon and Winter Soldier, we're now looking at August 2020. Black Widow is scheduled for the 6th of November this year. WandaVision sometime in December. The Eternals, 2nd of February 2021. Loki is spring 2021. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, 7th of May 2021. What If, sometime in the summer 2021. Spider-Man 3 on the 5th of November 2021. Hawkeye, fall 2021. Thor Love and Thunder, 11th of February 2022. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, 25th of March 2022. And Moon Knight, She-Hulk and Ms. Marvel Disney Plus series to be announced.
That's a big change, isn't it?
It is, but there's nothing about Guardians of the Galaxy 3 because that was going to be in the next phase of the MCU, so that's been pushed back even further at this rate. Chris Pratt will be being pushed around in a blooming Zimmer frame.
It's a real shame what it's done to the world, but gives you a break from Marvel to watch other stuff and, not overdosing it too much.
Yeah, exactly. But, I do wonder if we actually are ever going to see a Guardians of the Galaxy 3, being serious, because, the last one was a few years ago now. We're not going to get, obviously, one for the next 2 years.
Yeah, there was a tweet from the director, wasn't there, about that a little while ago. I can't remember what it was on about, but
yeah,
it'll be coming.
Yeah, and no sign of a new Avengers movie either.
Well, there won't be, will there, theoretically?
Well, there should be, because the Avengers are still there. It's just that they don't have, Tony Stark at the heart of it.
No, I think that ship has now sailed and it won't come back.
That's not supposed to have. They were supposed to be coming back. And also there's been something on recently that has said Tony Stark could actually return to the MCU, but his return would have to be earned. Whatever that means.
Okay. Well, if it's going to stop him doing films like Dr. Dolittle, then yeah, please.
Yeah, that would be a community service.
But I know there is another Sherlock Holmes movie to come, isn't there? So
yeah, there is. But
which I'm not too fussed about. I quite like those.
I've got them on Blu-ray, but I have to admit I've only watched them a few times. They're not. I haven't really enjoyed them as much. I think he absolutely found himself when he played Tony Stark. I can't imagine anyone else being Tony Stark. And I can't imagine Robert Downey Jr. being anybody but Tony Stark now. It's weird, he's completely, for me, typecast himself into that role because he wore it perfectly.
Very true, very true. Any other news?
Yeah, there's some news on the Spider-Man movie universe, and it now has an official title because, as you know, we have the MCU, which is Disney-led, but we also have the Spider-Man movies, which will and that end of the universe, which is Sony owned. So Sony's various movies based around Spider-Man characters has been given an official universe name to distinguish it from movies like within the MCU. So the name has now been confirmed by Sony via IGN as officially being Sony Pictures Universe of Marvel Characters. Because that rolls off your tongue, doesn't it? That's what she said. But that really rolls off your tongue. It has nothing to do... it's nothing flashy, but it does kind of get the job done in terms of telling you what it's about. Sony does have 3 planned movies in their universe of Marvel characters set to release. The first is Morbius, set to release in March 2021, followed by June's Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, and then the untitled Spider-Man Far From Home sequel, which is now scheduled for release in the 5th of November 2021. So while it's an important element of Sony Pictures' universe of Marvel characters, God, I hate that already, is that the movies must also stand on their own, so it's likely that these 3 movies will in some way connect, possibly even laying out groundwork for the long-awaited Sinister Six movie as well. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Yes, we'll see. It's a confusing world for the superheroes of this time. But yeah, I'm not too keen on that idea. What they're trying to pull off there.
Well, it's Sony holding on to their property, isn't it? At the end of the day, they're trying to work with Disney, but they're also trying to, maintain some sort of ownership. And I think that it would have been just better to just say we'll share everything and we'll share the profits equally. But obviously they've had those talks.
Disney won't have that, will they?
No, because Disney want to own the world.
They do. They want to own a hashtag. That's right. Remember, do you hear about that?
No.
Well, they would obviously May the 4th isn't too far away now.
Yes.
And they were tweeting about hashtag May the 4th, and they were trying to say like it was like something that they had put out there originally, and it hadn't. So it was all this weird stuff about ownership to a hashtag, but no one owns a hashtag. It's just no one physically owns anything like that.
No.
But Disney are being up their backsides as they are all the time at the minute. They're just annoying.
Disney are Disney. They're a law unto themselves.
Yeah, and I'm not keen on them at all. I don't care what they got on that channel. I'm not going to be watching their stuff. I just feel like I want to protest against them.
So you're not going to watch The Mandalorian?
No, well, I am. I can see that. It's not a problem, but I won't be renting their channel. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So there are other means and ways.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same quite effect when it's got an eye patch on, though, does it?
No, it does not at all. Anyway, so we'll go to movie Blu-ray DVD releases. So May the 4th be with you.
International Star Wars Day.
Yeah, can't say that. It's actually hashtag.
No, you can't say May the 4th, but you can say International Star Wars Day.
Yeah, whatever. We'll have a Star Trek Day hopefully at some point. Anyway, so
I've already got that. It's in April.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the day we make contact with the Vulcans.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I remember that one. That was just. Yeah, it's all conjecture, isn't it? When everything. But anyway, boring in Star Wars. Forget about that. So, Cobra Kai season 1 and 2 on DVD. We got Doctor Who the collection for season 14, which I'm assuming is the season that's on at the moment or the one before. Doctor Who season 12 Blu-ray Steelbook and obviously Blu-ray DVD for whoever was season 12. I can't tell you. I haven't got a clue who's season 12 going to be. That's going to be David Tennant. I can have the idea.
No, it'll be Peter Capaldi.
Oh, okay, right, yeah, of course. Okay, other things we've got here. We've got Strike Back Vendetta on DVD and Strike Back the Complete Collection on DVD. And one here that I've got pre-ordered, which I'm looking forward to, should be getting about the second week of May, is Man with the X-Ray Eyes, the Blu-ray limited edition that comes Actually, I think it's released on the first, I think it was, but probably coming out on the fourth for that. But yeah, I've got a copy coming for that. I can't wait to see that movie again. Ray Milland as the guy that doesn't need to have glasses for X-ray vision, like some. But yes, it's a great old flick, that. Anything else we got there? We've got Jacob's Ladder 2019. That's the remake. Not much else I can see there really at the moment. Pretty quiet.
Yeah, I knew Jacob's Ladder was in there. I just thought because it was a remake, I don't think it was that good of a remake, was it?
No, it's not as good as the original.
No.
Anyway, do you want to do the Blu-ray charts?
Okay, so the Blu-ray charts are at number 5, staying in at 5, we have Le Mans 66. At number 4, down from 2, we've got Frozen 2. At number 3, down from 1, we've got Jumanji: The Next Level. At number 2, we have new entry, Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. And at number 1, we have a new entry, Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker.
A friend of mine's picked up the Saga box set.
Yeah.
And I've seen some videos. It looks really nice. I've got to give them that. They've done some good packaging for it.
The Blu-ray 4K version, I assume what you mean there, rather than the normal Blu-ray version.
Yeah, 4K version, yeah. So.
But I haven't shown any pictures of it.
No?
No. So I presume it must be another friend.
No, it's his pictures he showed me on Instagram, actually.
Right, okay.
But I did have a chat with him on WhatsApp about it. But yeah, he says the darks are really dark, especially with Star Wars. But I will wait probably until we see these come separate, or they might come out as box sets of 3.
I think they will. I think they're just doing it the initial marketing, aren't they, for the big hitter, and then they'll start releasing them. But as you said, if you think about it as, it's 9 separate movies, and you divide that price, then it's not quite normal price.
No, is it? There's something like 20 discs or something stupid, isn't there?
Yeah, there is, but there's the 9 movies on there.
But yeah, no, it's obviously the packaging for it as well cost a little bit, putting that together. But yeah, it's a big hitter off your wallet, isn't it?
Certainly is. Very big hit.
You could buy a controller for that, couldn't you?
Nearly. You could certainly buy an aim controller for that amount.
Yeah.
And have to buy the Blu-ray version of it rather than the 4K.
Yeah. Okay, right. Should we go to what we've been watching?
Yep.
Haydn, have you got a couple written down there? Do you want to tell us what you've been up to?
Yeah, sure. So first one is I've gone back to my iTunes account, and I've been watching the Orville. So
from scratch again, is it? Or
from scratch, yeah. So for those of you who are not familiar with the Orville, we have mentioned it several times before, but it's created by and starring Seth MacFarlane as the series protagonist Ed Mercer. He's an officer in the Planetary Union line of exploratory vessels in the 25th century. If you know Seth MacFarlane, he's started a number of productions such as Family Guy, American Dad, The Cleveland Show, A Million Ways to Die in the West, Ted. His voice is very familiar to anyone who's, heard him. And I would say he's one of those actors. He's a bit like Ricky Gervais in the fact that he's a divisive sort of person. You either like him or loathe him, sort of thing. And I think this is probably where the Orville kind of sits. But Seth MacFarlane, he's had a lifelong love of Star Trek, and this absolutely shines through on the Orville, to be honest. It completely encapsulates the feelings of the original series and the Next Generation, showing, episodes in like the episodic format, so that there's one show, one story, as it were. Although there does later on become a little bit of overlapping in, looking back at previous stories and stuff like that. And while this show does have, at its heart, comedy in it, the show sort of like dials down the humour over the seasons. because there's only 2 seasons at the moment, but they've gone to Hulu for season 3, which is supposedly giving Seth MacFarlane more reign over the show. But it gets more serious the more that you watch it, and tackles many of the issues which Star Trek has before it as well, but with a more modern sort of twist in it. The show is basically a real loving homage to Treks of old, and the purest form, I would say, of Star Trek that you can watch on TV, because there's none of this, like new wave Star Trek like Discovery and Picard, which borrows from the old but is in itself new. This is, you watch it, everything, shots line up just like the original Star Trek. The theme tune, which is different to The Next Generation, but when it's starting off, how you would just come out of the theme tune, then it would do that sort of like, a little bit of music showing the outside of the ship just going by, and have all of those shots in it as well, which it just makes it feel like, even though it's a relatively new show, it feels like you're watching Star Trek, but it's just not Star Trek. It's like, it's quite confusing really in your mind. But I have to admit, I've watched this a few times now, and I have a great love for this show, because it is done by someone who is a Star Trek fan, and it is being done not trying to recreate Star Trek, but trying to pay homage to it, and I think that they do that tremendously well. This is a fantastic show. I would recommend anyone to watch it. If you like Star Trek, you should like this. Even if you don't particularly like Seth MacFarlane that much, you can get around that, because the show, everything it does, it's done so well. Have you seen this show, Steve?
I have seen a couple of episodes, but I need to give it more time, I think, because it was sort of just the very first 2. I think were more tongue in cheek than the rest.
Yeah, like I said, the humour gets dialed down over this, the seasons, and it does go into really proper Star Trek territory. I mean, very quickly, to be honest. You start, probably about episode 3 or 4, you're getting into that proper Star Trek. The whole bit about, like the episode 2, I think it is, where Bortas, who's sort of like he looks like an alien who looks basically like his head's made out of poo, to be quite honest with you, because he doesn't look like a Klingon, but it's that sort of effect, but sort of, but he's from a single sex race. And while females in his race are not unheard of, they only happen about once every 76 years, and they give birth by, hatching an egg, and he has to hatch his egg. Sounds really, really rubbish. That was probably one of the worst sort of bits about that show, but the story wasn't, that bit was done as a little bit of comical humour, but also to set the course for the Star Trek moral issue of that show, as it were, which is his child ends up being born female, and Bortus's partner wants to have the child to have a sex change so it becomes male, but it's just been born, and obviously because the Union, which is their version of the Federation, and it's their ship, they're saying, oh no, we shouldn't be doing that because it should allow, and then it causes problems in terms of like Bortus's, home world and all of this, that, and the other. So it takes something, from quite a comedic sort of back, but then change it round into like a serious issue sort of story and explores it in that sort of way. So, what they do, it's very typical Star Trek, but they do it in a good way that I think still encapsulates the spirit of the original Trek.
Oh, cool. Maybe I tell you what, maybe I will get at some point to watch maybe this, but it has had a lot of good reviews over the time, hasn't it? So
it's a very well thought of show. Very
Yeah.
well thought of. So,
is it going to be having another season? I presume so.
yeah, there is. It's going to be on Hulu. He's doing season 3 at the moment, so I'm just waiting for that to come out because I'm quite interested in seeing how, when he gets more control over the way that show is created, how it will change, and if it will, hopefully it won't go into silly Family Guy sort of humour, but instead it will go and keep that as part of its roots, but it will, it will develop their Star Trek formula even better. If you see what I mean.
Yeah,
This is kind of like the Star Trek equivalent of an AMD processor. It's the Ryzen. It's the Ryzen 7 to the Intel 7 sort of thing of Star Trek. I love the show. I think it's great. I would recommend it.
Okay, cool. Anything else?
Yeah, I've also been watching a Channel 4 comedy called Gameface, if you've ever come across this.
No.
It's quite a good comedy. It's a story about a woman called Marcella, who's a woman in her 30s who's basically completely unprepared for whatever that life's really going to throw at her. She's a struggling actress, stroke post-woman, who was a life coach as well, and is learning to drive after a boyfriend of many, many years has split up with her and then gone off to Vegas and married somebody he's known for 5 days. It's played by, Marcella's played by Rosin Connerty, who plays Marcella, but has also been on other shows like Afterlife, where she played the sex worker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
actually, we'll want to talk about that briefly, but I haven't finished it yet. But yeah, okay, yeah. We're going about.
Yeah, so she's also been on Man Down and Impractical Jokers. She's also a stand-up comedian as well, and is evidently friends with Russell Howard, so I understand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so the show stars David Maloney as well from Being Human season 4 and 5. He was the vampire with OCD on that show, if you've ever watched that.
No, I don't
quite
think I
like
did.
him as an actor. And basically, it's a light-hearted comedy. And she plays her role really, really well. Definitely worth a look. It's free to, watch. If you've got a Sky Q box, just say, Gameface, and away you go, basically. You've got 2 seasons worth of that. It does close itself off at the end of season 2. But, it's just a good comedy. It's one that, my wife and I, we sat and binged watched over 2 nights. There's only about half a dozen episodes in each season, and each episode's about 30 minutes. So,
yeah, I don't think I'm watching Channel 4. I think it's Young Sheldon at the moment, which is on its 3rd season. So
I was watching the Friday night dinner yesterday. Love that show.
Friday night dinner, was it?
Yeah, Friday night dinner.
Okay. I haven't got a clue what you're talking about.
Have you not seen it?
No.
Tasman Greig, and the lad with the briefcase off a brain's gone. Whether in a school, Oh,
yeah, come back to you.
Do you know? I can see his face as well. And it's really frustrating me that I can't think of his name.
Anyway, should I talk?
It's Simon Bird. That's who I'm thinking of.
Okay.
And he was in the In-Betweeners.
Oh, you mean he was a yes.
Yeah, okay. And it also stars Tom Rosenthal, who was
actually,
in
I think I came across it because we turned the TV on and Channel 4 was on, and he was in this little cafe shop or something.
No, it's always at the parents' house. That every episode's at the parents' house. The 2 brothers go round to the house where Paul Ritter is the father, and Tasman Greig is the mother. and they're the two sons, and they're a Jewish family. Always have Friday night meal with each other, and then Mark Heap plays Jim, who's a next door neighbour, comes round with his dog all of the time as well, every week, and just stupid things happen on the show, but it's just such a good laugh. But I think that it might be the last season this time, because I think they've just finished it. But there was a bit of a gap, a couple of years between the last two seasons. So, but yeah, that's well worth a watch. If I think you'll probably enjoy that one, and it's a good one to watch with the missus. My wife loves it.
Oh, I've got enough at the moment. Unfortunately, there's a few programs that have just suddenly sprung to life on the console, or should I say on the Q box. But yeah, ones I won't talk about on the show. Boy, stupid.
Okay.
I do watch my fair share of it works both ways, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But okay, so yeah, I only watched so I have been watching Afterlife, but for some reason we got interrupted, so I've got 2 episodes left.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay, it's funny, I mean, I think the bit that I found the most hilarious at the minute was the woman that used to play the wife of Victor Meldrew.
Yes, because on Afterlife, she was so funny as a 100-year-old woman.
Yeah, and the language out of her mouth was just hilarious.
It was fantastic.
So yeah, we got a couple of episodes of that left to watch, but I'm sure I'll get to it at some point.
Yeah.
So I really watched a couple of movies this week. Actually, both of these I watched last night, funnily enough. But so one of them's called Extro. That was from 1982. This came out. I think it came. I'm not sure if it went from cinema, but I remember watching it on VHS very early on in the 80s, and it got classed as a video nasty for a while.
Right. Okay. So
this was a certificate X. So basically, this is about a man that's abducted by aliens, and he returns 3 years later to his family that thought he was dead and not alive. And it's a very British film, because you'll see actors in there thinking, I'm sure, they all look very familiar, and it's very early 80s when you see the cars and the towns and everything. But it's just got these memorable moments that only live in your head for once and you never forget them. For example, the man that was abducted, he gets born as a full-grown adult from a woman, and I can't express how that looks on screen. Seeing a woman give birth to a full-grown man.
Right. Okay.
But it was a really good. I quite enjoyed watching it again. The Second Sight Blu-ray has a director's cut as well, which I probably will sit and watch at some point. But it's very much it's a horror sci-fi genre film. Yeah, just very. It might seem a little bit dated, but I just love it. It's great. For me, it's just I do like to go visit old films, and where some people might feel they're outdated a bit. I quite they got some love from my point of view. The other film I watched, which you've seen recently, I actually watched my disc version, because I picked up a 4K version of Colour Out of Space, which, as we know, is based on the H.P. Lovecraft short story starring Nicolas Cage. And I thoroughly enjoyed this film. I don't know about you, but it really warmed to me, and the way this progressed with how the family were having to put up with what was in their garden with this meteorite that came out of space, and the way they were being sort of seduced by what was in the garden. I loved it. It's going to be. I need to watch it a second time, because I don't know. I think there's bits I may have missed, but the color in that film was incredible. And I just loved it. Really, really did. I thought it was a good story. Nicolas Cage looks a bit old these days, must admit, but he played a good role. His young daughter was really good as well. And the son and the mum she went through hell in this film. without saying too much. Don't want to give any spoilers of what happened to her, but
No, it was pretty horrific what happened. Yeah.
God, and I can say chopping your fingers off while cutting the carrot. So that just looks so real.
Mm.
What do you think? Did you enjoy it at all? Because I know this may not be your cup of tea.
Did I enjoy it? In a word, no.
No, I didn't think you would.
No, and to be honest, a lot of that I think was Nicolas Cage.
Oh, because you don't like him, do you?
I don't know why people rate him. I think I don't find him believable as a human being, let alone anything else. You know,
that's a bit much, though, isn't it?
I can't stand him. I just think he's an absolutely useless actor, and I can't understand why people.
You can't really stand Ricky Gervais, can you? Until Afterlife.
No, I've always loved Ricky Gervais.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've always loved. No, it was my wife who hated Ricky Gervais.
Oh, okay.
I've always loved Ricky Gervais. I think he's been brilliant, but Nicolas Cage has been one of those actors right throughout his whole career. He's been highly praised, and I just don't see what people see. You know, I've not found most of his movies to be any good. I think that the only time, you know, his character was played well was when it was played by John Travolta in Face Off. I think that was the only time that we actually saw a good Nicolas Cage. And
really?
John Travolta's role was played awful by.
So what about The Rock, for example, with Sean Connery?
I didn't think he did a very good job.
I think one of his first movies he did was I enjoyed was Raising Arizona.
Yeah, didn't like that.
Oh well, that's just no taste for some people, is there?
No, some people like him. I can't understand why, but there you go. It's you know, there's just some actors who you get and you just don't want to, and he's just one no matter what he does.
Shame I can't get hold of Nicolas Cage to have a chat with you, because I feel like you're giving him a bit too much of a hard time, personally.
I just don't see what people see in him. I just really don't. I don't see it at all. I don't find him believable.
So what about the story? What about the story, though? How did you find? I know, unfortunately, with an actor playing a role in a film that you may try and get through, but if you hate him that much, then you probably won't even enjoy the film at all.
No, I think that hampered it a great deal for me, to be honest. I mean, to me, it was a very sort of like bog standard. The way I would describe it would be, you know, a sci-fi horror B movie. Be the best way I could describe it. It wasn't fantastic, but it wasn't bad. Well, it was entertaining.
Well, the book, should we say, the short story was written in between 1890 and 1937. Do you know that? So, from that point of view, it's got to be wacky from coming out at that sort of time. And H.P. Lovecraft, some of the stories he did was, do you ever see Reanimator?
Yes.
So that was another one of his. But he is one of a kind from an era that you wouldn't expect these sort of stories to be around.
No, I know that. Yeah, I know that. But, I mean, story-wise, you know, it's an intriguing notion that a meteorite would do what it's done in terms of that as a movie. And, you know, think about, you know, going back to, you know, when that would have been devised, even probably more intriguing and probably found to be very wacky at the time. Nowadays, I would say it would be, you know, probably. I think in terms of the wackiness of the idea doesn't translate as much nowadays, because I think we've had a few things like that. Not exactly.
If you look at people like Jules Verne, for example.
Sorry, I'm thinking more about, you know, something from space comes down and infects something on Earth.
Oh, okay.
I'm not thinking about, you know, Jules Verne's with, you know, all of what he's done.
Shame, but never mind. It's say each movie's to their own.
But don't forget as well, horror's not my favourite genre.
No.
You know, in about fact, it's very far from my favourite genre. But It's entertaining enough, and it's Nicolas Cage.
Okay.
We'll
leave it there then, I think, for the moment. I enjoyed
well, we
it.
We can't agree on everything, can we?
No, we can't. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it's something I'd probably go back to definitely again. Okay, so we're at the end of the show, so should we jump to listeners' questions?
Yep.
Okay, so as usual, we'll start with Mark's questions. His first one: how much will the release date affect the next-gen console sales? Will first out of the gate win the race? Well, we're assuming first out of the gate is going to be Xbox, don't we?
I think we have to assume that because we've not heard anything from PlayStation that has confirmed otherwise.
Mm.
The only people who are really talking about it at the moment are Microsoft.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know what their plans are, but I'd like to think at the moment, I think Microsoft have got a good chance of going forward, especially with Game Pass and everything else, how they can put this together as a package. It's a must-have, I think.
Mm.
I don't think PlayStation at the moment can compete with it. Whether or not they'll change any sort of structure to how they are, but I doubt it at the moment. I don't think they will do.
Well, we had differing of opinion last week about whether or not we thought that PlayStation now could morph into more of a Game Pass sort of thing. I still think it has the potential. I'm not necessarily saying that they will do that, but they certainly have the potential as a delivery mechanism there. And have already got effectively the Project X Cloud built into that because that's what it started out as effectively.
Yeah.
So, they were kind of like ahead of Microsoft on that curve, but Microsoft overtook in terms of the quality of what they included within there. I can't see, I think you're right. I think the way that Sony is at the moment, going back to the discussion last week, they're probably not going to turn around and say, right, we'll put every brand new Sony Interactive Entertainment game onto PlayStation now for people to use.
No, I don't think it's where they want to go.
No,
But
then again, I think it was as Alan said, if you've got 100 million units as opposed to 40 million units, and you want to get the revenue from that 100 million much more than you would do than the 40 because you get a massive more income.
Yeah, but if there's people with two consoles, then some of those games could be on Game Pass, so then therefore Sony would miss out on that purchase.
Possibly.
But we'll see. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. But I really think Microsoft have nailed it for going forward, and I can't see them failing at the moment. Price dependent, obviously, but I think they're going to be much about the same anyway. So.
Personally, my thoughts in terms of release date affecting next gen console sales, yes, it will affect up until the other one is released, whichever one comes first. But I think Sony's going to win it again.
I think with their limited sales as well, that it will have an effect.
Only in the short term.
Who knows? But I don't think Sony are going to win again. I think it's going to be more of a tight race, and it could even go Microsoft's way.
Oh, I think it'll be tighter. I still think Sony will win again. Sony won the last round in the end on numbers, but Microsoft had the most impressive performance right across. The only reason why Sony won on the numbers is because at the end of the generation life, people went and bought PS3s to catch up on the exclusives that they couldn't play on Xbox. That was what really happened, and that was why there was a sudden increase in sales. And I think that Sony let the PlayStation 3 keep going longer than the Xbox let the 360.
Yeah, I mean, we all know how PlayStation won because of the way that Microsoft handled it, and they never handled it badly. and for them to come on second and to say we'll bring a reduced price in comparison to Microsoft was a big
I think you think
move.
PlayStation 2 there, aren't you?
No, I'm on about. No, it wasn't. It was when I think it was when it was the third one, wasn't it? Because of the idea of the hard drive and everything else.
Yeah.
So from Microsoft's point of view, they cocked up there, and the PlayStation 4 had a bit of just won it hands down. But the way they handled it was wrong anyway. But from Microsoft's point of view,
Microsoft lost it this gen because of what they tried to do.
Yes,
forcing you to have Kinect, which who's got a Kinect now? I mean, have. But
the funny thing is where it gets confusing because we're talking about because obviously we've had different iterations of the Xbox.
Yeah.
In the family. But yeah, all of that happened on going back 3 years now, is it? 3 years, 4 years?
More than that. It's
5 years, yeah.
Yeah, it's it's the Kinect stuff. It's the game sharing and the always on. Even though that the PlayStation.
But I think Microsoft has turned around immensely from then now, going forward.
But I think the damage that they did to themselves had a longer turning circle than the orbit of Jupiter, to be honest. It was just they had a massive turning circle.
Who is not going to want to say the idea of saying, here's a new box, here's Game Pass, you can play our first party games off the back straight away, bang, done. That is such a big win scenario, I think.
I completely agree with you. I completely agree.
I still think Microsoft will edge it come the end of this next cycle. I think they would. I know PlayStation have got some great first party games coming out, and they always do some great story games and everything else. But I think the difference will be Game Pass between the two consoles.
I'm gonna be even more provocative now. I'm gonna say Switch 2 because we're gonna get another Switch come along as well.
There's another Switch should be coming out in the next year anyway. So
no, but I mean, a proper second generation.
They're Nintendo are a little beast on their own. They don't compete with Microsoft and PlayStation. They're just a different entity, just to one side.
It's funny because I always think of sort of like Xbox and PlayStation are like the two sort of alpha male kind of kids in the playground trying to decide who's best, whereas Switch is sort of like the nerdy kid just getting on with what they want to do, and the PC's the teacher just looking at all of them and going, well, we know we're the best.
But I don't. Well, I'm not going to see my thoughts on Nintendo because I'm not going to ruffle a few feathers here. But I just feel that between those two, the Nintendo sales are a separate entity compared to these two big hitters, and I still think Microsoft are going to pip it. Anyway,
I mean, for me, I'm not really bothered. I just want to play the games on the platforms. I'm not bothered who's winning, who's losing, or whatever. I just want to be able to get to the games I want to play and play it on whatever platform I want to play it on.
Yeah.
That's all that's important because we're not there to use consoles. We're there to play games. There's a difference.
But I think the structure and marketing is going to be a big difference for it. But anyway, that's the way it's going. Do you want to go on to Mark's second question?
Okay, so Mark asks, did the failure of Kinect directly impact Microsoft's approach to the VR market? If Kinect had never happened, would we have had a console alternative to the PSVR?
You might be able to answer the question more than me from the Microsoft point of view because you've got their secondary device, haven't you?
But I've got their MR headset.
Yes,
yeah.
But I don't think it was the route Microsoft wanted to take in the first place. And it's not the right place for it at the moment. VR's done really well for the PlayStation, and I can totally see that from what I've used of it. But I just don't think it's where Microsoft needs to be at the moment.
Bearing in mind, I've got 2 VR headsets. One is a PSVR. One is the Microsoft MR.
You've got 3?
No, just a 2. My son's got one of the phone ones, but I don't use that.
Yeah, I've got one of those somewhere. Lots of those somewhere.
Yeah, I've never bothered with that. But I've got the 2, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And I love them both. They both play really well. PlayStation VR is fantastic. Not knocking it at all.
It is. It's really good, yeah.
Yeah, it does some really good immersive experiences and some big games. Word being some big games. And the PC, there's a lot more choice in terms of VR. There's also a lot of rubbish for VR as well. But I think VR as a mechanism, and I said this 5 or 6 years ago when people were calling me out and saying, no, I've got it wrong. I didn't have it wrong. It's been a bit of a fad. Because let's face it, how many games are released on VR now? Other than small indie games, yeah. there's been the big, Valve game that has been released. Yeah, okay. That's PC.
I think they've slowed down because of the change of consoles.
Change of consoles hasn't happened yet.
No, but I think. I mean, I don't notice the PSVR games as much in the store.
No. They're not pushing it either.
They're not highlighted enough compared to the other stuff.
But they're not pushing it either. That's the other thing. And that's because I think that they wanted to get something out there to put them in that market and test the water. And I think that really what's happened, apart from a lot of high-end players on the PC market who want it for probably more specific things, and for PlayStation, for the people who really, really enjoy those sort of experiences, I think for the majority of people, it's been a curious little thing to have a go at. But yeah, I'm quite happy playing games normally. I don't know whether or not you would agree with that as a statement or not.
To a certain degree, probably. It's the same as, it's going to be the same as, obviously, because it's 3-dimensional from the movie point of view. You don't see 3D movies as much, do you? It's not.
Well, how many 3D TVs are advertised now?
No.
Every other TV was a 3D TV. Yeah. Now they're never advertised. And that's because people don't want to wear stuff on their faces to watch or do stuff. That's the reality. And I think that you might have had a bigger markup or maybe a bigger take-up of VR. And don't forget that Sony have done a really, really fantastic job of marketing VR with the millions of units that they've sold. And I'm not knocking them. I'm not knocking any company for what they've produced, because the VR units, they're really, really good. But I think for the vast majority of players, it's nice to have, but I'm not really that bothered.
No,
because otherwise, everybody with a PlayStation would have a VR unit, and they don't.
Yeah. They're good experiences, but they're not to be played 24/7 anyway, so.
No, definitely not. But, and to that extent, I would say that they've been a bit of a fad. I think that they've found the niche in stuff as a result of that, and I think that they'll carry on. And, I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see Sony not rushing to do to PSVR 2 and upgrade it for the PlayStation 5.
Well, all we can do is wait and see on that. When next hear about what they're going to chat about with the new console, we're going to have to just wait and see.
Yeah, and I think that the next big innovation in VR is the wireless versions. that to me is where VR needs to go on all platforms. That it's going to use is to not have the wires dangling around you, because they are a trip hazard. They can damage your equipment if you yank it in the wrong direction. So, to my mind, that's what needs to happen. And have really good quality, more powerful processors, which we're getting in the next generation. I think probably midway through the next cycle, we'll probably see some emergence of some form of VR again, or maybe HoloLens might actually have that public appearance. But I just think at the moment, I don't think people are that bothered. I think that they're quite happy playing what they've got, how they have, and not having to wear the head units and have motion sickness and eye strain and having to take it off every so often because it's too much.
Yeah, it's. I do agree with that. To be honest, it's is as much as 3D movies and PSVR. It's a niche market that will never grow to the standard of everything else. It's a supplement. It's a supplement, and something you have as an attachment to what you're going to do.
It's a bit like if you have a car and you're given the option of, do you want leather seats, yes or no? Some people like leather seats and they'll go for leather seats. Other people will stick with the normal trim.
Yeah.
And that's what VR is, basically.
Yeah. I know some people will have got a love for PSVR and will say we're not talking right here on this, and they might dispute it, but,
I'm not knocking the technology at all. I've got the technology. I use the technology. Not knocking it at all. It's great technology. It looks good. It plays well. There's nothing to knock, as far as I'm concerned. The PSVR, it's good. All right, it's not as high a resolution as the Microsoft one, but that's got a PC behind it, not a PlayStation. And a decent spec PC as well. So, I can't remember the last time that I wore either of the headsets.
Well, I haven't got mine out since I've moved. I haven't got it out yet. So there you go. That answers the question.
How long have you been in that house now? 7 months?
6 months, maybe.
Yeah. So I knew it was somewhere along that time. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Facebook questions. Lee Doherty's got one, and it says, "How long is your tolerance for mediocre games before you give up on them and stop playing them? With all the games available through subscription, do you think we have too much choice and don't give some games a proper chance?" I think this is one more question for you than me. But what do you think?
What do I think? How long is my tolerance? I think it depends upon how bad or good the game is.
Well, comparing it for Catherine, for example, it didn't last very long, did it, on the 360?
The 360, or rather, I played on PS3, actually.
Okay, well, yeah, same thing.
And I got 6 trophies, one of which was a gold on there. So I don't know how long that equates to, or 5 trophies, one of which was a gold, and one was a silver, and the rest were bronze. I don't know how long that equates to in gameplay. I think it was probably about an hour and a half, something like that. And I got that as a free game. It was when it was given away on PlayStation Plus that I played that.
Because I think you've got so many games there to play that a game doesn't get enough justice to get played. You might, if you bought that game, you would give it more time. But because it's throwaway on subscription, you would probably give it not as much time.
Yeah. I mean, if to put it in perspective, if I switch on my equipment, if I go onto my Switch, I have 30 games that I can choose from.
Mm-hmm.
If I go onto my PlayStation 4, I have 450 games to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
Probably more than that because of PlayStation now, but ones that I own. yeah?
Yeah.
Or have been given to me through PlayStation Plus or whatever it is, or a giveaway that they've done. I go onto my Xbox. I have about 1,000 games to play from across One and 360, the backward compatible and Xbox One. And I go to my PC, and across the various different platforms that are on my PC, I have 1,500 games. So, given the fact that probably quite a few of those are probably overlapped, multi-buys, let's say that would equate to, say, about 2,500 to 3,000 games that I have access to just by switching my equipment on. Now, when you've got that many games, and a lot of those are AAA games, when you've got that many games, something really has to take your attention to play it for more than an hour.
Yeah. And from that point of view, it's got to grab you by the balls, isn't it?
It's got to do something to keep you going with it, because it's like every month I get 10, 12 games from Humble Bundle, or Humble Choice as it is now. Every month, yeah? So my PC rate is going up every month by that many games. And that's before a game comes out on a PC that I actually want to buy. Quite often now, though, I don't bother buying games on my PC because I know in 6 months' time that'll be on a Humble Bundle.
Yeah.
So that, there's not much choice, but not much choice, not much point in doing that. But what I find, and I don't know, because I know that you've got hundreds of games as well. What I find is it's a bit like if I want to watch a Blu-ray.
I was going to say this. This is what I was going to say to you, right? Do you think you spend more time choosing than you do playing a game sometimes?
Yes. In a matter of fact, there has been times where when I had 20 DVDs, I always knew what I wanted to watch because I had 20 and it was one of them. Now I have, say, 600, 700 Blu-rays. Trying to find a movie I want to watch is a nightmare.
And also,
if we just finish this,
it's
one of those things if you think, right, I want to watch something sci-fi. So you think, I'll go to Star Trek. No, I'm not in the mood for Star Trek. What about Star Wars? No, I don't want to do Star Wars. What about something a bit classic? What about Flash? No, I can't be bothered today. I don't want to start something like that. Well, what about, and you end up having this conversation with yourself about what you're in the mood for. And I have literally sometimes sat there so long, I don't have actually time at the other end of it to watch what I want to watch because I've took too long picking it.
Because you're going to say, oh, this film's 90 minutes, hour and a half, or whatever. This is going to be, 2 hours, 3 hour movies.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Lord of the Rings. So I keep looking at Lord of the Rings, and I keep thinking, right, 3 hour movie. I've got 3 hours. Oh, I don't want to go through that first hour though.
Yeah.
I don't where it's like all in the Shire and all of that.
And what you've done is you've watched. Sometimes you've probably seen that first 20 minutes of the movie more than you've seen the rest of the movie. Yeah,
exactly. Because you start off it and you think, oh no, I can't be bothered with this. So you take the disc out, you go back, you get another film.
Yeah.
If you can find one in that. And then you go on to Netflix, then you go on to Amazon, then you go on to Disney, then you go on to iTunes, then you go on to Google Play Store.
You see, if we're going to watch a film on a Saturday night, for example, I've got to have that ready for Saturday night.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we won't get to watch a movie. Oh, should we watch this trailer? What do you reckon of this? Oh, I don't know about this. I showed her. So you end up watching all these trailers and you never get to see a film.
Well, it's like, I don't know, I think your wife's a bit similar to mine. As in, you like what you like, but your wife doesn't like everything that you like. My wife likes next to nothing I like to watch, and vice versa.
Do you know what I'm in the mood for at the minute? And I really want to watch it, but
What?
it's on 2 discs because I haven't got a Blu-ray version. I'm really in the mood to watch Dances with Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the version I got is over 3 hours. You know?
Yeah.
It's fine the time. And then I'm thinking, well, it comes on it's a 3-disc format on DVD, a special edition that came out. I don't know if it's 30th anniversary or whatever. But one disc is half of the film. The second disc is another half, and the third one is the extras.
Yeah.
So I sometimes have to think, well, watch this disc now, and then watch one the next night. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
I mean, you've got to go and watch some movies. It's like, would you ever think about sitting down and watching one of the Avengers movies? You know, at the end game or something.
Only by myself. My wife won't watch it.
No.
She literally will not stay in the room when it's on. She hates anything like that. It's like I said, we have it's incredibly tortuous to try and find something that we both will agree on. But the thing is, every time I recommend something to her, she completely loves what I've recommended. Because I know what she likes and I know how her brain works in terms of what she will like that I like. It's like at the moment I am trying to persuade her to watch Passengers.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It was shot the wrong way around, but it's a good movie.
But actually, that isn't a bad film for her to watch. It's like a little love story type, sort of.
That's exactly why I was doing it. So it's sort of like it tickles her need for a love story, and it tickles my need for a bit of sci-fi.
And a bit of Jennifer Lawrence.
And a bit of Jennifer Lawrence, yeah, and she can tickle my bit whenever she likes. But that to me is like a good union, but no, don't want to watch that. Why? Because it's set on a spaceship. The fact that the spaceship is almost inconsequential apart from like the last 10 minutes.
When they go outside of the spaceship.
Exactly. It's at the end of the day, that is effectively Bridget Jones's Diary in space. Is that movie in a certain perspective?
I'm not even going to go down that route, but I'll just take your word for it.
You know what? It's a love story. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's romance. It's more of a, for want of a better term, and not meaning it as a sexualised term, but it's more of
anyway,
a.
I like. But I don't mind Bridget Jones' Diary. I've actually read the book, but that's just going off topic, so I'm not going to go there.
Yeah. I don't mind Bridget Jones's Diary. It's fine, but
I like Renée Zellweger actually.
Yeah, but I don't want to watch that week in, week out. I want to watch lots of different sort of stuff. So I know my wife doesn't go for Star Wars. She doesn't go for Star Trek. She doesn't go for Avengers.
I'll give you an example. I've been trying to get the missus to watch The Martian, and I'm struggling with that one. Believe it or not.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me because I've actually thought I think my missus would actually like The Martian because it's more science fact than fiction.
But it's a Robinson Crusoe style story, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I think she would like it, but it's just actually getting to get the disc in there and her to sit there and watch it.
Yeah. It's like my missus, she won't watch horror at all.
Oh, my missus doesn't. No, she doesn't mind a few jump scares.
No jump scares at all. No jump scares at all. I might actually get her persuaded to watch the 300, but that's more because it's like blokes in scantily clad in leather.
What about action flicks?
True Lies, I'd get her to watch that. Terminator would not get her to watch.
What about the Gerard Butler ones that he did? Olympus Has Fallen. They're not too bad. They're quite good just to watch and sort of popcorn style movies,
Yeah, I'm not that bothered about them. I thought about trying to get her into Gladiator.
Yeah.
That's a nice long movie. But the thing is, as well, this is the other thing. Now get this, right? I said to her, right, what do you want to watch? So I said, what about this one? Yeah, what about this movie? No, I don't want to watch a movie tonight. Right, okay. And this is how we ended up watching Gameface, because I said, right, well, what about, Rosalind, whatever her name is, she's done her own show. You liked her as, the sex worker on Afterlife. Why don't we watch that? Yeah, okay, let's watch that. So we watched that. But she didn't want to watch a movie because she didn't want to concentrate for 2 or 3 hours sat watching it. But she'd binge watch a television series.
Yeah,
for 2 or 3 hours.
You see, they do that on the quiet, don't they? They don't tell you this.
Yeah.
You're not at home, or you're at work, and they've been at home for a few hours, and not that you get the chance to do this, and they've sitting there and caned some series on Netflix.
No. My wife does. What I mean is, she did that. She said to me she didn't want to sit there for 3 hours and watch a movie, but she sat there and watched 3 hours and watched a TV series.
Yeah, because you could say you watched Afterlife, and none of that is 3 hours. But do you know what I mean? You've watched 6 episodes or whatever.
Yeah,
that could can accumulate to that time if you're with me.
Well, it does. It is 3 hours because we binged watched it. My wife said, I don't want to watch a movie tonight. I said, well, good, because Afterlife's just being released. We've got our tea. It's 4:30. Let's sit and watch it. The next thing we knew, it was 7:30 and we watched all the season 2. That's what happened on the 24th when it was released.
Yeah.
Tell me the logic. I don't understand the logic.
Yeah, so we're not going to go into the wheres and whys of women, because it's not. I think we got the right to. But again, too much choice and not enough time, and to choose, I think you have to book a movie to watch a movie.
Yeah, I think you probably need to run up to a movie. You need to think, right, I'm going to watch this movie. It's very hard to just say. I don't know about you, but do you end up, if you're at home and you're watching, or you think, I'll go on to Netflix, are you more likely to pick a TV program or a movie?
Probably movie on Netflix.
See, I'm more likely to pick a TV program if I'm.
I might go and watch something that I've watched before and just watch an episode while she's cooking, maybe.
Yeah.
Just something I know of. I might watch. Let's say, I'm not saying it would be, but say an episode of Blackadder or something. I might just chuck that on for half an hour.
Yeah.
But
can't beat a bit of Blackadder.
No, you can't. And even extras with Ricky Gervais, but I don't think you've ever seen them. I'm not too sure.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Great fan of extras. I've seen everything he's done.
Yeah, so there's stuff like that, and I mean there's some older TV stuff as well that's out there. But yeah, it just depends. I mean, I did get the missus, because she's a Chris Hemsworth fan, to watch Men in Black International. And she enjoyed that.
Yeah, wouldn't get my wife to do that. My son loves it.
Yeah.
Have you seen The Invention of Lying?
Yeah, I'd seen it many times.
Yeah. What about Ghost Town?
Yeah, and is he a dentist in that one, isn't he? I think.
Yeah, I think he is. And then there's also one, I can't remember where he's. What's his other movie? Where it's is it Eric Bana who's with him on that movie?
With the Hulk?
No. Wait, what? Who played the Hulk? Yeah. I forgot what it's called, but it's on Netflix. I can't think. No, I can't. I can't think.
But yeah, but the point of the fact is that I say again, there's too much to watch, not enough time to do it, and also you've got to book the missus into what she wants to watch with you, because that is even the hardest part of the choice.
Yeah, it is. Special correspondence. That's what it was.
I'm not too sure if I've seen that actually. But anyway, any more questions we got?
Yes, we've got Scott, and you might be able to answer this because I can't. What do you think about Summer Games by Jeff Kelly?
I don't know what Summer Games are, actually. Did you look it up?
I was trying to find out. I was thinking, because there used to be the old game Summer Games, didn't there? But
isn't it
was
just
that Jeff Kelly?
I'm not sure. I don't even know who Jeff Kelly is. Is that wrong to say that?
I don't think it's particularly wrong to say it. No, the summer games on the Commodore 64 that I was thinking of, that was Scott Nelson, Erin Murphy, Stephen Murphy, Brian McGee, Stephen Landrum, and John Leup. So I'm not sure what summer games that is, unless it's like an ESPN video game sports thing.
It is something to do with ESPN and some of their titles. I do apologise, Jeff, on this. We'll have to look in.
Scott.
Jeff said. I apologise to Jeff Kelly as well, actually. But yeah, I don't know too much about it, unfortunately. Maybe you will enlighten us when you get back to us.
Yeah. I don't know what it is either. I must admit, I don't watch channels like Jinx or anything like that. I just don't have the time.
You're too busy trying to choose a movie for the missus.
Yeah, it's either I'm too busy trying to decide what movie I want to watch that I'm in quite the right mood for, or trying to get the missus to watch something, or trying to choose a game that I want to play that I'm in just the right mood for. I only actually play a game for about 5 minutes a day, and that's because the rest of the time I'm trying to choose what I want to play.
So that was it. I think that's the end of the show.
Yeah, I think we're there.
Well, a good time, actually, because I need to have a chat with the missus. I've got to try and stay up tonight, but I don't know if I'm going to do it because for nights for next week. But it's that swap over change of actually trying to stay up late to go to bed sort of longer in the daytime. It's not easy to do. Anyway, that's by the by. So for me, best place to pick me up, obviously on Twitter at Steve07. Pearson ID is the real Steve007. And that's it for me. Haydn, do you want to read off and rattle off yours?
Yeah, so YouTube, Twitter, PSN, Xbox Live, Steam, all of those. It's HARJ UK. On Epic, it's Pop Culture Gamers. Also, don't forget that we have our own Pop Culture Gamers Twitter account, so just search for @PopCultureGamer on Facebook. Just search for our Facebook group, or we also have a Facebook page as well. If you've got any inquiries, you can email those to podcast@popculturegamers.co.uk. And don't forget about our website, popculturegamers.podbean.com.
And that's it. So hopefully we'll see Alan next week. And
yes, I know that I just meant to say, by the way, we haven't had a midweek show for a few weeks. That's just because of sort of like craziness that's been going on in all of our lives.
What you doing the Flash Gordon one, weren't you going to be doing shortly or something?
Believe it or not, all of the notes for the Flash Gordon show are all there. We've got some really juicy sort of like insider bits of knowledge about the movie, and it's who's done what, and all of the production design things and all of that sort of stuff. We've just not had the chance to record it. Even though we've all been in lockdown, it's just because, family commitments, when we can record and all of that sort of thing. It's just trying to sync it up. And now Alan's going back to work, so God knows whether or not we'll be able to get it done in the near future or not. It's still one of those shows that is destined not to be recorded. But we will get it done, even if we record it on my own.
I'm sure Alan will find a slot for it at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's the end of the show. So old school, it'll be a good night from me.
And it's a good night from him.
Good night.
Good night.